Hey my YouTube friends, let's talk about some of the highlights in the preliminary hearing today for BarryMorphew. As many of you listening know, BarryMorphew, he's accused of killing his wife, 49-year-old Suzanne Morphew. Suzanne went missing from near her family's home in Maysville, Colorado on Mother's Day, May of 2020. So what I'm going to do during this video is go by Lauren Scharf's tweets, and she's with the media, and she was very thorough. So I'm going to go ahead and just give some of the highlights of what was said today in the preliminary hearings. Very interesting things, and quite a few bombshells as well. But let's go ahead and go through. And again, I'm going to credit Lauren Scharf for this because I will be going through her tweets since I obviously can't be there to hear it for myself. So let's start at the beginning. So the line outside of the Chaffee County Courthouse, it started around 5 a.m. this morning for the preliminary hearing. BarryMorphew's mom and daughters were in the courtroom. BarryMorphew, he was seated wearing a suit and a tie. 6 attorneys were seated for the state. Barry's attorney wanted to make an opening statement of 1 minute, but the judge said no because they were having, I guess, timing issues, just really not enough time. The first witness was Commander Alex Walker, and he took the stand. Commander Walker said that Mallory Morphew could not get a hold of her mom, Suzanne. She was trying to wish her a happy Mother's Day, but the texts were not going through, so she reached out to the neighbor. Deputy Brown found the bicycle shortly after getting notified of Suzanne missing. He immediately put on his body camera. When he got to Highway 50 and County Road 225, he noted there was no blood, no skid marks, no brake marks, no struggle, no damage to the bicycle. Lauren said they're about to watch a video of the body cam that the deputies found the bicycle of, and Suzanne Morphew's bike. Suzanne and Barry's daughters, they were holding hands during the video and crying in the courtroom as they watched the video when the deputies first discovered the bike. Deputy then asked for someone to contact the hospital. The deputy then moved the bike off the hillside and laid the bike back down. Deputies were chatting on the video about how close the bike was to the house. They were also talking about scenarios as to what could have happened. The deputies started yelling for Suzanne in the video as they approached the bike. The bike's front wheel was facing down the side of the hill. The deputy asked for Barry to be called to describe the bike. And again, this is on the body cam footage. The bike is navy with light blue pedals. Something is up with the front tire, said the deputy. The deputy brought the tire back up to the county road without gloves. Miles and his father described places where Suzanne goes biking and what Suzanne typically wears. The deputy asked Miles what Barry and Suzanne's relationship was like, and he said they've had problems in the past. They have talked about separating, and he knows this through Macy. Miles is Macy's boyfriend. Miles explains he is one of the daughter's boyfriends. He noticed that Suzanne's car was at home, but that her bike was gone. He told deputies that Suzanne typically brings her car with her when she goes mountain biking. And this, again, was said on the body cam footage. Suzanne's phone last pinged at 4:23 a.m. on May 10th, 2020 on the Pancha Springs tour. Miles was coming out of the garage when deputies arrived to the Morphew home. Walker said that BarryMorphew and George Davis had been touching the bike. He also confirmed that Suzanne's bike helmet was found a few days later. Deputy asked what path Suzanne would take. Asked if she was an avid mountain biker, the deputy described how the bike was found, and Barry responded, quote, "It may have flipped." The deputy asked people not to touch the bike with their hands. Body cam video of Barry getting to the scene around 8:46 p.m. He gets out of his truck and Barry says, quote, "Where was the bike? Was there a crash? And then Lauren, she continues her tweet. She says the helmet was not damaged. It was found south on Highway 50, 10 meters from the road. Inside the helmet was a piece of paper with Suzanne's name, number, and family contact information. A picture of Suzanne wearing a light blue helmet and matching jacket with a camelback and sunglasses on is shown in the courtroom. She is on Methodist Mountain. The bike helmet was found 8.4 miles from the bike on May 15th. Morphew also told Walker that the RV park near the house was a suspicious location to be checked. He also mentioned a mountain lion. During an interview with Barry, Walker said Barry mentioned that Suzanne was biking regularly, but that Suzanne was new to it. Walker said that Barry mentioned, quote, his worst scare was someone picking her up, unquote. And that was said during a 30-minute conversation with Barry, per Walker. Suzanne's camelback was found in Suzanne's car. Sunglasses were found in Indiana inside Suzanne's Range Rover. Barry mentioned to investigators that Suzanne was his, quote, angel, described her as a wonderful person, very good relationship, and loved her to death. Nelson said that it's not unusual if Suzanne wouldn't text back because the cell service is bad at the house. This is after Barry had texted Suzanne Happy Mother's Day that morning. Nelson is now cross-examining Walker. She asked if he authorized the arrest affidavit, the 129 pages. It took him weeks to write. She asked when he started writing the affidavit, but he does not know when he started. Walker was at the scene when deputies found the bike. He witnessed the deputies move the bike immediately. She is asking if there was a lot of people on the dirt road and if it was taped off. It was not taped off, and yes, there was a lot of people. There was no blood of Suzanne's found in the Morphew home. Investigators did not find any blood throughout the investigation, according to Walker. Mallory, the daughter, one of her friends, Holly, went on the road trip with the two daughters the weekend of Mother's Day, so the weekend Suzanne disappeared. They typically stay the night in the same bed at the Morphew house. Mallory's bed sheets were stripped in the Morphew house. Nelson said Barry would mention that Suzanne would clean the house before guests would arrive. BarryMorphew mentioned to investigators that, quote, he had never been involved in one. He hopes it does not stop. And this was in regards to searching for Suzanne. And Walker said it does not stop. The helmet was found 10 meters down from Highway 50. Volunteers from the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office searched both sides of Highway 50 and CR 225 to Monarch Mountain Lodge on Friday, May 15th. He said they've searched 1 mile, 5 mile radiuses thoroughly, searched a lot of square miles in a lot of areas, and recently searched a mine. George Davis was invested in searching for Suzanne for weeks. He showed the investigators maps. He asked how thorough the 1 mile radius around the Morphew home had been searched, and Walker responded, there is still work that needs to be found. The home was under investigation for 10 days the first time. On May 20th, the home was given back to the Morphews. Barry didn't get a chance to change clothes or get anything from the home. And then more than 110 search warrants were issued. The first search warrant was on May 11th, 2020 of the Morphew home, and it did include the vehicles. On July 10th, officers, they went to the home again to search. It was a lengthy, thorough, extensive investigation. On July 9th, involved in a second search of the home, and again, I think FBI, CBI, Chaffee County deputies were all involved. On July 8th, investigators asked to speak with Barry at his home and said they could bring pizza. Barry responded, quote, "Don't bring food. We are grilling steaks. We can put 2 on for you," unquote. According to Walker, Barry did not know about the spy pen and that it was voice activated. Walker, Barry wasn't found having an affair, is what Walker said. Walker said Suzanne was having an affair for 2 years. Now, as far as the spy pen, it belonged to Suzanne Morphew. Sheila, her friend, and her talked about getting her this spy pen. Suzanne had suspected that Barry was having an affair. And Libler asked law enforcement if he was a target in the investigation, and that's the person Suzanne was having an affair with. A recording of an interview with Libler and law enforcement was heard in court. The defense attorney wants a lot of time with Walker, but again, the judge is worried about timing. Suzanne didn't tell anyone about the affair. Libler did not come forward to law enforcement. Law enforcement found him, and then he spoke to them. And Libler and Suzanne, that again, Suzanne's lover is Jeff Libler. In November, that is when law enforcement found out about the affair. They met up 6 times, twice in Indiana. And Lauren wrote that she knows Jeff Libler went to high school with Suzanne in Alexandria, Indiana. And from other reports I've seen, and this is not in Lauren's tweets, I don't think anyway, I haven't seen it as of yet, but from another report I read, it was said that Suzanne reached out to him on social media and said something along the lines, "Hey, what's up, stranger?" or something like that. And I guess he responded to Suzanne's message, and it kind of went from there. And again, you know, Jeff Libler is his name, and it said that they went to high school together, him and Suzanne. Now, Lauren said that they went on a break, and BarryMorphew's sister came up to Lauren, and she asked her, "Are you Lauren?" Lauren said yes, and she said to Lauren, quote, "You are an instrumental part in destroying our family." So pretty interesting that, you know, Lauren, the one that works for the media, is going to be blamed by Barry's sister for destroying the family. But nonetheless, let's move on back to Lauren Scharf's tweets. According to page 41 in the arrest affidavit, Walker wrote, "BarryMorphew's Bobcat does not appear to be connected to Suzanne's disappearance." And then Lauren, she wrote, they're back on the record. Commander Andrew Walker, he's still on the stand, speaking about BarryMorphew's truck. Barry's truck was found messy both in the cab and the bed. A search warrant was issued on May the 12th of 2020. May the 10th, Barry, from 2:47 a.m. to 5:30 a.m., again, May 10th, 2:47 a.m. to 5:30 a.m., BarryMorphew took steps in disposing of evidence according to activity on cell phones and the truck. Nilsson is referring to page 2 of the arrest affidavit. The defense went over the log of activity on BarryMorphew's truck. Example Lauren wrote is when the door opened and closed. The defense team provided the state packets of the exhibits, which were 624 pages, and she wrote that the state, including Walker, is reviewing the packets there, I guess, in court. So the defense is showing that it was likely Suzanne who touched the cable, and we'll speak more. I don't know if these are kind of out of order when she's typing. Maybe she's trying to type quick, but there was a cable mentioned, and so hopefully it'll all come together as I'm reading it. But Lauren puts, so the defense is showing that it was likely Suzanne who touched the cable. Now they are talking about a blue cable to see if Suzanne's DNA was on that cable. What about the power cable, DNA mixture of two, likely Suzanne and an unknown male individual. Nilsen said Barry never touched the cable missing from the DDR. So I don't know if that's DDR or DVR, but she wrote DDR. Ellie took swabs of the cords. DNA from Barry, Mallory, Macy were excluded. She is now showing Walker discovery of the DNA report for the cables and a gray S cable. And she says, okay, it's the surveillance cameras on Morphew property. They were installed by the previous owners. The defense is referring to page 97 in the arrest affidavit, and they were speaking about the missing cords that law enforcement found. And so that's what I just read to you right before that. It was in regards to the surveillance cameras on their property. And then they started speaking about Suzanne's Range Rover. DNA was found on the glove box, and it was sent for testing. DNA was from an unknown man. It was not BarryMorphew's DNA. A hit was made on the DNA with someone with 3 essays. You guys hopefully know what essays are. But Nilsen did not elaborate on who that individual was or why she brought that up in court. And it says Walker is being cross-examined by the DA, Stanley. She's asking about Morphew's guns. Barry had a safe in the garage, and not all of his guns were inside like Barry said. A gun was found in the closet near the garage door, a shotgun up against the wall in the garage. And a second witness on the stand, Kenneth Harris, special agent with the FBI. He's worked with the FBI for 12 years. FBI agent Harris was being asked about the spy pen. One recording is of BarryMorphew driving, and the truck radio is heard speaking on news clips, forensic files like criminal cases. And this is February or March of 2020. A recording of someone going missing while bike riding. Wow, that's very interesting. One recording that starts in the truck, Suzanne was arguing with Barry about money. Suzanne is also angry about what she can and cannot wear. This is according to Agent Harris. Another recording 5 hours long of Suzanne speaking with Jeff. Trip to Michigan on a business trip. This was important because the FBI needed to find out who Jeff was, and he lives in Michigan. Sheila was contacted by Mallory a few days after Suzanne went missing when the investigator heard from Barry that the night before she went missing that they had a perfect night. Sheila told investigators that Suzanne and Barry had not had a perfect night in over a year and a half. Now, Lauren says Agent Harris started speaking about Suzanne's best friend, Sheila. She lives in Indiana. They've been friends over 30 years. They asked Sheila what the state of the Morphew's marriage was like. And Sheila said Barry would try to get the girls on his side and pit the girls against Suzanne. The text messages that were displayed in court, September 1st, need your prayers for peace today, been a tough day, and this was Suzanne's text to Sheila. Later on, Suzanne wrote relationships. He pulled Macy in again and left. My heart hurts for her. Suzanne told Sheila did not know what would set Barry off. Agent Harris said Suzanne told Sheila that when Barry turned off his phone that she had a suspicion of him having an affair. Text message from Suzanne says, quote, I'd live in a shack right now. I'm sure he won't make it easy. He has always wanted control, unquote. The defense attorney, Lauren said, was wondering what time these text messages were sent and the screenshots, if they were able to tell them what time they were sent. Agent Harris mentioned that Sheila told him in 2018. Barry allegedly pushed Suzanne into a closet and put a gun to his head and asked her if this is what she wanted. According to Harris, when Suzanne told Sheila that she wanted to leave Barry, he would respond by saying, quote, "How would you pay for things like your medical bills for cancer," unquote. Agent Harris says Sheila and Suzanne spoke almost every day. Text message from Suzanne, it says, quote, "It's Jekyll and Hyde again. He and Mal were together last night. Prob switching it on when he talks with her. I feel like I'm crazy. I just had a conversation with him. Pretty much told him I can't be healthy and stay in this," unquote. He threw the 70 by 7 at me, which is scripture reference how many times they should forgive someone, always using scripture when it's convenient. And this is another text to Sheila from Suzanne. And another text from Suzanne saying, "I feel bad. I don't want to cause him to have to do this." She says, "I've accepted what is. He can't change the core person, you know. Makes me wonder what the young me was thinking." Now, speaking about Suzanne's affair, Jeff and Suzanne reconnected after Suzanne reached out via message and said, "Howdy, stranger," then spoke mostly on the phone. And this, in September of 2018, they become physical in February of 2019 in New Orleans. So I guess Suzanne reached out to Jeff in September 2018, and February 2019 in New Orleans they became physical. Agent Harris said they did not have sex on that trip, but they fooled around in the hotel. They visited each other a total of 7 times in 6 different locations. One was in Florida when Suzanne was visiting her father in 2019. According to Harris, Suzanne wanted to be married to Jeff, but Jeff got rid of his LinkedIn account. He learned about Suzanne's disappearance on May 12th when someone sent him a link. The last communication from Suzanne was at 14:11, which is 2:11 p.m. on May 9th. And again, last message between Suzanne and Jeff, and that message was on LinkedIn. And week May 5th through the 10th is where Suzanne and Barry were alone. Suzanne dropped Macy off in Gunnison with her sister Mallory to prepare or either for their road trip. Harris said that Barry would tell Suzanne, quote, "Don't worry, one day you'll find your Fred," unquote. The agent explained that Fred is her stepfather, Suzanne's mom's second husband. Sheila Oliver, that's Suzanne's friend. She was a college roommate of Suzanne, and they were best friends. She did not know about Jeff, the individual that Suzanne was having an affair with. She never mentioned this male friend to anyone, and it was hard for them to believe that Suzanne actually was having an affair. And it said, quote, "This affair was not a one-night stand. It was 2 years long and in other states," unquote. And that's what Eaton said. And Harris said it was from September of 2018 through May the 9th, so for a year and a half. She kept a lot of secrets. Her sister also said that Suzanne is very good with keeping secrets. And Eaton said, Harris replied, "I don't recall." Sheila wanted to help out with any investigation as well as Holly. Harris said that Barry told the investigators that he did not know about an extramarital affair. Agent Harris said that Holly Wilson, which is another friend of Suzanne's, that she would record conversations with Barry. Investigators played the audio of Suzanne and Jeff from the spy pen to try to see if they knew who this man was. They had heard the conversation but did not know in depth about that relationship. Suzanne told Sheila that she wanted a spy pen in January. She wanted to catch some conversations and she wanted to put it in Barry's truck. Suzanne told Sheila that he would be concerned with Barry's reaction if Sheila sent the spy pen to her house, so she said just wait until the Florida trip to give it. And Suzanne did not tell Sheila that she used it. Now, this is according to Harris. Agent Harris, he's on the stand in an interview with Jeff Libler, the one Suzanne was having the affair with. But in an interview with Jeff back on December 18th of 2020, they spoke again about that spy pen, and on there it said, quote, "You are the sweetest thing I've ever known," unquote. And Suzanne said this to Jeff Libler, and you hear that on the recording. And Suzanne says, quote, "Cannot live my life without you in it." So Jeff allegedly left a message to Suzanne saying, quote, "Baby, you are a sweetheart. This boy craves you. Everything about you," unquote. "Maybe we are in the clear for Valentine's Day. Barry won't be around then," is what Suzanne was heard saying on the recording. Now back to the spy pen. Lauren put, "It looks like a black pen that can be plugged in and download audio from it. It activates when voices are heard." And there were 11 deleted files and 11 saved files on that spy pen. And quote, "I don't have the phone anymore. It was a company phone and has been replaced." And Lauren said they were having technical problems in the courtroom. Can't really hear the recording, or I'm assuming it's in the courtroom, but she said you really couldn't hear the recording. Eaton plays or plans to play some of the audio of Jeff himself from the interview with the investigators. And Suzanne's secret spy pen led investigators to Suzanne's secret affair, is what Eaton said. Now, Harris said that Jeff Libler's phone was pinging off Michigan tours on May the 10th, the day that Suzanne was reported missing. Suzanne had created a LinkedIn account in August of 2018 and logged into the account frequently until she went missing on May 10th of 2020. Suzanne had used her dad's phone to order pizza and found, let me back up. One of Jeff's daughters found out about him speaking with Suzanne and told her older brothers and uncle. Suzanne and Jeff paused their relationship for a while, but then got back to communication in Christmas of 2019, and she had used her dad's phone to order pizza, and she found messages on her dad's phone from Suzanne. Suzanne had planned a trip to New Orleans in February and asked Jeff if he would like to meet her there. She was worried. What if Barry looks up records? He had no idea that we had talked to each other, Eaton added from the report. And Agent Harris, he looked through the reports of the conversations with Jeff that the investigators had. Jeff mentioned that Suzanne had told him that Barry had seen some messages and that they needed to switch communication apps. Eaton said that she never heard it on the recordings, but again, she was worried that if Barry looked up the records from that. On November 26, 2018, there were 7 calls between Suzanne and Jeff that totaled 4 hours. The next day, she texted Sheila saying she had a tough talk with Barry, but she didn't mention the new relationship that she had with Jeff. So, according to Eaton, Jeff and Suzanne spoke 26 times between January 4th and the 11th of 2019. Harris, he looked at the phone records to confirm that. He said it was 19, but he might just need readers. He didn't have the 11th day of data. And according to Harris, it was Jeff that got Suzanne into mountain biking as well as drinking IPA. They talked like lovers together. She had told Jeff that they needed to be husband and wife, and Jeff asked, "Marry me?" So, I don't know, it's quote, "marry me," question mark, unquote. Harris said that Suzanne and Jeff were calling each other soulmates and were talking like lovers. Eaton asked if they had sent nude pictures to one another, and Harris said yes. Suzanne met with Jeff in February 2019 in New Orleans, April 2019 in Indiana, July 2019 in Michigan, October 2019 in Dallas, February 2020 in Florida. Jeff was planning a trip to Colorado in March of 2020, but COVID-19 hit. Text message from Suzanne to Sheila said, quote, "I'd live in a shack right now. I'm sure he won't make it easy. He has always wanted control." So we read that one earlier. Jeff Libler, he had told Suzanne allegedly that Ecuador is a cheap place to live with good health care. So on December 9th, 2019, Suzanne's iCloud account discovered that she was researching language schools in Ecuador. The state objected to the relevance of that foundation, Lauren said. The judge said, "We don't know the when, but we know the what about the Ecuador research because, I guess, the language school." Jeff did not believe that Barry knew him or knew about, let's start over there. Jeff Libler did not believe that BarryMorphew knew about him. Quote, "If he knew about me, he would have came after me. I just don't think he knew that Suzanne and I were together."